Before there were social media campaigns or street protests, there was Lady Godiva, a woman who used the only tool she had to fight against injustice, herself. Today, we're exploring how one medieval woman's extraordinary protest became a timeless symbol of courage, captured in a painting that changed how we think about power, protest, and sacrifice. Let's wind the clock back nearly 1,000 years to 11th century England. Lady Godiva wasn't just any noblewoman, she was the wife of Leofric, the powerful Earl of Mercia. But unlike many nobles of her time, she had a heart for the common people. The story goes that she repeatedly pleaded with her husband to lower the crushing taxes he imposed on the citizens of Coventry. Leofric, probably thinking he'd found a clever way to silence his wife's protests, made her an outrageous deal. He would lower the taxes if she rode through the town naked on horseback. But instead of backing down, Lady Godiva called his bluff, but she was clever about it. She issued a proclamation to the townspeople: stay indoors, close your shutters, and don't peek. The people of Coventry, loving their Lady Godiva and respecting her sacrifice, complied. Well, almost everyone. There was one tailor, known to history as Peeping Tom, who couldn't resist looking. According to legend, he was struck blind for his transgression. Think about the courage this took. This wasn't just about taking off your clothes. This was about a noblewoman in an age of strict social hierarchies and even stricter moral codes, willing to risk everything to help her people. And it worked. Leofric kept his word and lowered the taxes. This act of protest, this moment of brave defiance, would echo through centuries and eventually catch the imagination of Victorian artist John Collier. Let's look at how Collier chose to portray this iconic moment. His Lady Godiva isn't triumphant or defiant. Instead, she's shown in a moment of quiet dignity. Her head is slightly bowed, a blush on her cheeks suggesting modesty, but her posture remains elegant and composed. Her famous long hair serves as both concealment and frame, drawing our eyes while preserving her modesty. It's a masterclass in how to handle a potentially sensational subject with grace and artistic sophistication. The white horse she rides is no accident either. In art, white horses have long symbolized purity and nobility of purpose. By placing Lady Godiva on this majestic white steed, Collier immediately elevates the scene from potentially scandalous to undeniably noble. The horse's golden threaded walking shoes create a subtle link to Godiva's own golden brown hair, unifying the composition. But what really sets this painting apart is the background. Collier gives us a glimpse of medieval Coventry with its Anglo-Saxon architecture and the Benedictine monastery that Godiva and her husband had actually funded. These historical details ground the legendary tale in reality, reminding us that beneath the myth was a real woman who made a real difference in her community. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of what makes this painting so special from an artistic standpoint. Collier was working in the style of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, a group known for their attention to detail and romantic approach to historical subjects. And boy, does it show in this painting. First, look at the lighting. The way Collier handles light is nothing short of miraculous. There's a soft, diffused quality to it that creates what art historians call a cerulean nude, a technique that makes the skin tones appear almost pearl-like. This wasn't just about making things pretty. This lighting choice helps create that sensation of intimacy and vulnerability that makes the painting so powerful. Then there's the composition. Notice how Godiva is positioned slightly off-center? This creates a sense of movement, suggesting that we're catching just one moment in an ongoing journey. The buildings in the background use aerial perspective. They get progressively hazier as they recede into the distance. This creates depth and draws our eye through the painting, making us feel like we're right there in medieval Coventry. Let's talk about some of the smaller details that you might miss at first glance. That wedding ring on Godiva's left hand, that's the same hand holding the reins, linking her marital duty with her act of protest. the way her hair falls isn't random either. It's carefully arranged to suggest both modesty and natural beauty, a very Victorian combination of values. But just like all great works of art, this painting isn't just about what we see on the surface. It's packed with symbolism and multiple interpretations that have fascinated art historians and viewers alike for generations. First, there's the feminist interpretation, and it's a powerful one. Remember, this painting was created in 1897, right when the women's suffrage movement was gaining momentum in Britain. Many see Lady Godiva as an early symbol of female empowerment. Sure, she's naked, but this nakedness isn't about vulnerability. It's about shedding the constraints of a patriarchal society. She's literally stripped herself of all the trappings of her noble status to stand up for what she believes in. Then there's the social justice angle. This painting isn't just about a noble lady taking a ride. It's about someone with privilege using that privilege to help others. Think about it. Godiva could have just lived comfortably in her castle, enjoying her wealth. Instead, she chose to put herself on the line for the common people. In Victorian times, when issues of social reform and workers' rights were hot topics, this aspect of the story would have really resonated. The religious interpretation is fascinating too. Some scholars see parallels between Lady Godiva's ride and religious acts of self-sacrifice. The way Collier poses her, with her head slightly bowed and that expression of serene acceptance, almost recalls images of martyred saints. And don't forget, the real Lady Godiva was known for her piety and had helped fund that Benedictine monastery we can see in the background. But perhaps the most interesting interpretation is the psychological one. Look at how Collier captures that moment of internal conflict in Godiva's expression. She's blushing, head slightly down, suggesting shame or modesty. Yet her shoulders are relaxed, her pose dignified. She knows she's doing the right thing. It's this internal struggle between social propriety and moral necessity that makes the painting so psychologically complex. The painting also works as a commentary on the act of looking itself. Think about it. We, the viewers, are essentially doing what the legendary Peeping Tom did. But Collier handles this potential voyeurism with incredible sensitivity. The painting asks us to consider, what does it mean to look? What are the ethics of observation? These questions were particularly relevant in the Victorian era, with its complicated attitudes towards modesty and propriety. Some art historians have even suggested that the painting represents the tension between nature and civilization. Godiva's natural state, represented by her nudity and flowing hair, contrasts with the rigid architecture of the town around her. It's as if she's bringing a bit of natural truth and justice into the artificial constraints of civil society. That's the beauty of this painting. It works on so many levels. Whether you see it as a feminist statement, a tale of social justice, a religious allegory, or a psychological study, there's something here that speaks to universal human experiences and struggles. If you enjoyed diving into this fascinating piece of art history with me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We explore amazing stories like this every week. Ring that bell icon too, so you never miss an upload. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Lady Godiva's protest and Collier's interpretation. What would you risk to stand up for what you believe in? Share your thoughts in the comments below.